What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of Stars and Garters. I'm Katie Pettit, and first of all, wearing the appropriate merch for today, finally. No DC merch. It's just Marvel, it's not X-Men specific, which is sad. Guys, I don't think I own any X-Men merch that I can think of. That's really sad, now that I think about it. I must buy some immediately. Well, not immediately. I make minimum wage, but eventually. But, Marvel is Marvel. So, but yes, guys, we are on the last episode, the finale, I guess, of my non-comics history of series. We have finally reached my number one Marvel character of all time. That is Wolverine. Yes, indeed. So, we're finally there. Before we get into it, I will say this is probably going to be shorter than Spider-Man, which feels weird because he's the number one. You think he would get the most time, but it does make sense, considering Spider-Man, just his iconicness. Well, like Wolverine's an iconic character, but Spider-Man just on his own. Wolverine's attached to the X-Men and all this, and Spider-Man's just like a standalone iconic character and has been that way since like forever, since he came out, and has been adapted for forever. So it does make sense. Also, since this is the final one, I might end up going into a little bit more detail about some of like the plots than I've done in the other episodes. I did a little bit more research into this, and tried to get a little bit more into how they adapted like his stories and stuff. And since there are less things that he was in than Spidey, it also kind of allowed me to go into more detail about it. So, with all of that said, let's get into my favorite Marvel character of all time, Wolverine's non-comics history. We will start with movies, as we always do. First off, I will say he appears in 3 Lego Marvel superhero movies, but I don't think I really need to discuss those as far as how they adapted his story and his character, because Lego movies, like, just be doing stuff, so, like, I don't know that they really adapted him. So, but just know that he was there, as is everyone. So, he first appeared in Fox's X-Men series in the 2000. That sounds weird. I was going to say the 2000 movie. It would sound more normal if there was a number after 2000. But 2000 movie sounds weird. The movie that came out in the year 2000, X-Men.
I'm sorry.
For what?
If I hurt you.
Obviously, he was being portrayed by Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman, excuse me. Stupid mouth, little mispronunciation there. Anyway, so Wolverine comes into the movie. He comes in after Rogue runs away from home because she discovered her mutant power and she's angsty and it's bad. So she runs away and she runs into Wolverine. He is brought back with Rogue to Xavier's school, and Xavier asks Logan to stay because he thinks that Magneto is looking to capture Logan. So, mostly throughout this movie, Wolverine does stuff like with Rogue because they're kind of connected from the start since they both appeared in the movie, like connected to each other from the start. So he mostly just does stuff with Rogue, and it does turn out that Magneto wanted Rogue, not Logan. So in the big final fight against Magneto's device that he has to turn everybody into mutants, he is the one who ends up destroying the device. And of course, there was a giant battle, and he was a super important part of it in the end. So the next Fox movie, X2, came out in 2003. In this one, Logan has started looking for some answers about his past, but he's coming up empty. So the school is attacked by William Stryker, and after the X-Kids and the X-Men escape, Stryker reveals to Logan that he may know some things about his past. So Magneto while explaining Stryker's whole mutant destruction plan, also tells Logan that Stryker is the one who put the adamantium into his skeleton and is the reason for his amnesia. So, after that, Wolverine ends up fighting Lady Deathstrike, killing her. The X-Men stop Stryker's plan. They kill him, and then Jean Grey, who of course Logan has been crushing on this entire time, dies. Rip. Big sad for Logan. He always has it rough with her. X-Men: The Last Stand was released in 2006.
You're in the mansion. You need to tell me what happened to Scott. Jean, tell me what happened to him.
In this one, Jean Grey has been resurrection, but to the big sad of Logan, she is being used by Magneto to help destroy this cure and all the people who made it, the cure that has been created to erase mutant powers. Logan gets big mad at Xavier because he learns that Xavier has been tampering, well, before she died, had been tampering with Jean's mind to suppress the Dark Phoenix personality that was inside of her the whole time. But then Logan sees the new Jean, the resurrected Jean, for the first time and realizes that Jean is gone. There is only Dark Phoenix. So, after Magneto is beaten by all the X-Men collectively, Logan ends up being the only one that can reach the Phoenix because she's got some sort of telekinetic shield going on that's like ripping everybody's skin off. And he's the only one who can get to her because of his healing factor, so he kills her. It's very sad. So, separating for just a little bit from the Fox series, in 2009, he appeared in the animated movie Hulk vs. Wolverine.
Here's the deal, Misty. There's a third claw that's gonna come out if you don't start talking.
Which keeps coming up in my favorites in my non-comics history series. So this movie is based on the Incredible Hulk number 181. This is Wolverine is sent by the Canadian government to capture the Hulk for them, but Hulk and Wolverine have to end up working together after they are both captured by Team X. That's the team that Deadpool was a part of. Then, back to the Fox series, also in 2009, we got the Wolverine-specific movie, X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Why? Why? You don't call. You don't write. How else am I supposed to get your attention?
So this one, guessably reveals his origin story. So he was James Howlett. His mutation, his claws specifically, appeared when he witnessed his father's murder. The man who killed James's father, Thomas Logan, tells him that he's actually his real father before dying because James has stabbed him with his claws. And James and then Thomas's other son, Victor Creed, run away together. Victor Creed is Sabretooth. Important to Wolverine. So the two, Victor and James, they serve together in multiple wars, but Victor becomes more and more violent over time. He eventually gets both him and James sentenced to execution by firing squad, which they obviously survive because they both have healing factors. So after they survive and get away from that, William Stryker, from before, gives them places on his Team X, where James takes on the name Logan, probably after Thomas Logan. But he leaves Team X after realizing that the majority of the team has bad, or just lack of morals completely. So after a few years of living alone, getting a girlfriend, chilling out for a minute, Logan is approached by Stryker again, who tells him that Team X is being hunted, and when Logan refuses to join them, Sabretooth kills his girlfriend. Because he really can't keep a girlfriend, they all just die. I'm kind of just realizing that now. Anyway, Logan finds out that Stryker and Sabretooth have been kidnapping mutants to experiment on, so he tracks down Gambit, who takes him to Stryker's facility. Wolverine's girlfriend is revealed to be alive and being manipulated by Stryker. Stryker betrays Sabretooth, saying that he can't, what was it? He can't bond adamantium to him in some way because it would like kill him. And Stryker reveals a mutant super weapon that he created. Some dude from Team X named Wade. I don't know. I'm not sure who that was. But Wolvie kills the super weapon dude. But Stryker shoots him with an adamantium bullet. Bad for Wolvie. And his girlfriend dies for real after using her power to force Stryker to go bye bye. So Wolvie wakes up, he's lost all his memories, he only has his dog tags, which read Logan on one side and Wolverine on the other. Fun fact, I have the dog tags in the form of, I don't know, it was supposed to be a keychain, but that's what I'm using it as. Darn it, I don't have it with me, but I do have them, and they're cool. Oh, that's X-Men merch. I do have X-Men merch. And it's specifically Wolverine. Okay, that's cool. I'm proud of myself now. Well, I didn't buy it, but still, proud of myself for owning it. Anyway, in 2013, we got the movie The Wolverine. So this one takes place after the events of X-Men: The Last Stand, and Wolvie is living alone, and he's been seeing visions of Jean because he's missing her. She'd be dead, and that's big sad. So Wolverine's friend Ichiro Yoshida is dying of cancer, so he offers to transfer Logan's healing factor, which Logan hates by this point, to himself, but Logan refuses that. So Yoshida dies, and at his funeral, the Yakuza tries to kidnap Yoshida's granddaughter, Mariko, who escapes with Logan. I think that Mariko, if you'll remember from the X23 episode, which you should watch, not the non-comics, the comics history of her, I think I talked about this dude Dakin a little bit. Dakin is Logan's son, and I'm pretty sure Mariko is Dakin's father. Dakin's not mentioned in this movie, just I know that name, and I'm pretty sure that's Dakin's. Did I say father? I meant mother. Mariko, I think Mariko is Dakin's father. Anyway, so Logan and Mariko go on the run from the Yakuza for a little while, and after Mariko is kidnapped by them, Logan learns that her husband and Yoshida's son, Shingen, had arranged for the Yakuza to kidnap her. So while trying to recover Mariko, Logan discovers a device inside of him that is repressing his healing factor. So he cuts himself open like a baddie and gets it out, and then kills Shingen. So then he gets kidnapped by some ninjas that also took Mariko, and this other doctor chick tries to extract his healing factor. Mariko escapes from the ninjas and frees Wolvie, while Logan's ninja buddy, Yukio, who has been traveling with him this whole time, kills the doctor chick. Logan then fights the Silver Samurai, who turns out to be his old buddy Yoshida. He kills Yoshida and pieces out to other adventures with the ninja buddy Yukio. So that, I feel like if you don't know much about Wolverine, that probably sounds pretty weird, but that is, he chills in Japan a lot in the comics. So that's pretty based, actually. Next, he appears in the movie X-Men: Days of Future Past in 2014. So in this movie, Sentinels, it's in the future, Sentinels is taken over and mutants are dying out. So Wolvie is sent back in time to fix the future by preventing Bolivar Trask's, the creator of the Sentinels, assassination. So Logan teams up in the past with younger versions of Professor X and Magneto, and also Quicksilver. I don't know if it would be a younger version. It's not the MCU. It is a younger version? I don't know. It's complicated now. With WandaVision, it's even more complicated. But some version of Quicksilver, and they stop Mystique's attempt to kill Bolivar Trask. But in the past, the president, because of after they stop Mystique, Magneto and Professor X are outed as mutants, and this causes the president to authorize Trask's Sentinel program after Magneto tries to kill Mystique, thinking that that'll fix the future. So Magneto takes control of the Sentinels by putting like some sort of metal in them that he can control, and he attempts to kill the president and a bunch of other people and yeets Logan into the Potomac, So, unfortunately, Logan doesn't have too much to do with the last battle. So while he's out, Mystique ends up fixing the future by saving the president. So Logan wakes up to a much better timeline, and he sees Jeannie alive and not crazy. So, two good things. And it's all good. He's chilling. It's a nice happy ending. And then Fox finished out Logan's story with 2017's Logan. In this movie, Wolverine and Professor X are both very sick and being hurt by their own powers and living together in the aftermath of Days of Future Past in the year 2029, where a mutant has been born for 25 years. Logan gets wrapped up into helping Gabriela Lopez and a certain little girl named Laura who has very similar powers to his, who are being hunted by the Reavers. Gabriella is killed, and after escaping with Laura and Xavier from the Reavers, Logan learns that Laura is one of many kids created from mutant DNA to be weapons. X-24, Logan's clone with the sole purpose of killing him, so like the good one, the one that worked, shows up, and he kills Xavier, and then Logan and all the good clone kids kill all the bad guys. Except for X-24, who mortally wounds Logan before being killed by X-23. So Logan dies in X-23's arms, telling her not to be the weapon that she was made to be. Sad, sad. And he rips, and he's dead, gone. But then, unsurprisingly, he was a pretty big part of 2024's Deadpool and Wolverine. So, in this movie, when Deadpool finds out that the Wolverine of his universe has died, leaving the universe unbalanced, he goes on a multiversal search for a replacement Wolverine. He finally finds a Wolverine from a universe where he has killed most of the X-Men and is considered to be the worst Wolverine in the multiverse. So they are both sent to the Void, where they meet Cassandra Nova, Professor Xavier's twin sister, who has plans to destroy the multiverse, as you do. So this Wolverine meets the Laura of the Fox universe, who tells him that he can be a hero again. And so Wolvie, Deadpool, Laura, and her the resistance that they got going on, they go and they stop Cassandra and save the multiverse. So that is it so far for movie Wolverine. He'll probably eventually appear in the MCU, but we don't know nothing about that right now. So, thoughts on movie Wolverine? Since Hulk vs. Wolverine can't really compete here, I'd obviously say Fox's version of him was the best movie version. If you're counting it collectively, I don't know. It's hard to pick out a favorite movie if you wanted that. I think just Hugh Jackman's performance is great. It is great. He very much gets the character's personality, and he does him very well. Doesn't look accurate, but that's fine. Honestly, obviously it would be better if he looked accurate, but his portrayal is very, very good, so it doesn't matter that much. As for story, how they adapted him story-wise, it's hard with a character like Wolvie, who has such an extensive history, and half of the movies he's in aren't even about him specifically, X-Men movies. So it's like, I think that the Fox universe was a fine take on his story, specifically, all things considered. I wouldn't say I like the Fox universe as a whole. I think they did Kitty a little dirty, but that's not the main reason. I just think they could have been a lot better, even though X-Men lore is kind of hard to adapt, I guess. I imagine. Not like I've tried to adapt it before, but I imagine it's pretty difficult to adapt. But Wolverine's character specifically, I think they did a fine job. They had a lot of big, important story moments. They twisted little things, but as you do. So, with all things considered, I think they did an okay job in the Fox universe. Definitely, like, better than Hulk versus Wolverine. I don't know if that was like bad, but like I don't see how it could have been better. So, with that said, let's move on to his appearances in TV shows. We start with the iconic X-Men, the animated series. It's so iconic I can't even see the name. X-Men, the animated series, which started in 1992.
Hey, Tin Woodsman. I'm sending you back to Oz in pieces.
Wolvie is voiced by the frequent and awesome Wolvie voice actor Cal Dodd. So in this series, Logan is just rolling with his team, doing classic X-Men stuff. So in season 1, it had Logan and the X-Guys dealing with Sentinels, Magneto, and Apocalypse, and their varying plans to do bad things to the world. In season 2, Cyclops and Jean are married. Sorry, Wolvie. And they are being targeted by Mr. Sinister, and the squad has to deal with the anti-mutant group, the Friends of Humanity, and then also Apocalypse returns. The third season goes with the Dark Phoenix storyline, which is always very hard on Wolvie. And the X-Men get mixed up with Logan's former lover in this series, Lady Deathstrike. So yeah, he just goes along with the X-Men, does a bunch of stuff, and his past pops up a few times, basically. In 2000, X-Men Evolution started airing.
Ha! We showed him! We are the X-Men! I don't fight your battles, so don't fight mine. He loves us. Oh, yeah. Big time.
I don't want to talk about this show anymore, but he was there. Wolverine was voiced by Scott McNeil. Wolverine is a teacher at Xavier's school in this series, as most of his would-be teammates, like in the usual adaptations, are teenagers, and he's a whole adult. So, though the series focuses more on the kids than Wolvie and the other old pros, he mentors them as they deal with Mystique's Brotherhood of Mutants and also lots of high school drama. So in season 1, Wolvie's old buddy Sabretooth shows up as an antagonist. Wolvie doesn't have many significant parts in season 2 because the kids are still dealing with the Brotherhood and now they're dealing with Magneto. And though Jean and Psyche do start a thing, Wolvie can't really be involved in that like he usually would be because Jean is a teenager and that would be problematic. So, Season 3 has Wolvie seeing the kids through heightening tensions between mutants and humans, and of course, discovering and helping out his clone, X-23, in her first appearance. I have such conflicted feelings. Okay, so, Apocalypse pops up in Season 4, and so Wolvie helps the kids with that. He also helps X-23 destroy Hydra. So, there's that show. I can't believe it has more seasons than anything else. Anyway, the show Wolverine and the X-Men came out in 2009.
Why have a bald old man in my head when I can have you?
And there's the problem. You can't have me.
If you ever change your mind.
Wolverine is voiced by Steve Blum. In this show, an incident has caused the disappearances of Professor X and Jean, so Wolvie tries to form his own version of the X-Men. Wolvie and his team do their X-Men thing while being sought by the Mutant Response Division, an organization that captures and registers mutants. So this show has Wolverine again haunted by his past. So he has fellow X-Men Emma Frost, who we haven't really seen pop up with him before, I'm just kind of realizing. But Emma Frost helps him sort out his memories and figure out what his past is. And then the show ends with another take on the Dark Phoenix story. Again, Wolvie's least favorite thing. That just sucks for him. Always. Logan also pops up in 2010's The Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
It's like the fun started without us.
If he's
was your idea of fun? You can count me out.
He is again voiced by Steve Blum. This Wolvie has gone from being a soldier to an X-Men to now being one of the new Avengers and helping out with their stuff sometimes. And then we finally got X-Men 97 in 2024. Cal Dodd comes back from the animated series to voice Wolvie again. Completely unrelated side note here, but I learned that Ray Chase, the voice of Noctis from Final Fantasy 15, voiced Cyclops in this, which is really cool because he sounds just like the original and it's Noctis, but okay. Anyway, 97 takes place after the death of Professor X in the animated series, and Wolvie and the X-Men have to deal with Madeline Pryor, Mr. Sinister, a conflicted Magneto, and ultimately Bastion. Specific to Logan, he has a complete goat moment because Jean, what with Madeline Pryor going on, her being confused, her and Psyche are married and they have a kid, and the kid, it's all crazy. She's very confused and she kisses Wolvie, which you'd think he would be like, heck yeah, let's do this thing. He instead tells her that they just can't be a thing because he's great. You know, he's a solid dude and he just never, he never wins, but he's just such a good, solid person. But yeah, and he fights. he deals with Jean and being conflicted, and he fights, and that's what Wolvie does. So it's great. Yeah. So, thoughts on Wolverine's TV appearances? The best, obviously, has to be X-Men the Animated Series. Like, even though I don't know it as well, and I didn't grow up with it, I know it adapted a lot of his story and made him the prominent and vital member of the X-Men that he is. And also, he's like a Christian in this series. Like, there's no, because Nightcrawler's a Christian, like, always. And he, like, there's an episode where, like, Nightcrawler, like, takes him to church and he, like, finds peace, with all of his troubles in church. And so, like, that's pretty awesome. And that is kind of a part of his character. Sometimes in the comics, I think they kept it in 97 a little bit, like just mentioning it. But that's awesome. But like, X-Men 97 was obviously great. But in my opinion, Wolverine specifically didn't get quite enough time to shine as Wolverine, and do his thing. So I think the animated series kind of has to take it here. So yeah. Alright, moving on to video games. Alright. I know I went through all of Spidey's games, but Wolverine is much harder to describe. His appearances in video games are much harder to describe and pinpoint, seeing as most of his appearances appear in X-Men games, not Wolverine games. So it's hard to pinpoint his role, and usually it's not that important, especially because a lot of these are so old and it doesn't get too deep. I'm not saying anything against old video games when I say that. I wasn't saying it in the Spider-Man episode either, just like, it's harder to describe the plot, I guess. So, to save myself from hours staring soullessly into my computer screen doing this research, I'm just gonna say he has been in a crap ton of X-Men games, starting with the Uncanny X-Men in 1989 and continuing on to 2024's Marvel Rivals. I will mention he gets a prominent story role in the game X-Men Wolverine's Rage in 2001. This centers around him having to beat Lady Deathstrike, who has found a way to melt his adamantium skeleton. And obviously, he's going to get a very important role in the upcoming Marvel's Wolverine. We don't know much about the plot yet, so we can't really get into that too deep. But it will be about him and feature very many of his usual friends and foes. So, very short section, but thoughts on video game Wolverine. It's similarly hard to judge this category like it is with the movies because most of these aren't about him and his story specifically. But I will say, I am excited about Marvel's Wolverine, seeing as it's been made by Insomniac, the same people who made Marvel's Spider-Man. So essentially, the same people who made one of my favorite games of all time about my second favorite Marvel character of all time are making a game about my first favorite Marvel character of all time. Like, really, what could go wrong? This is my game. They made this for me. I'm pretty sure they just were stalking me. And they were like, we should make a game that she will absolutely love in every single way. And this is that game. So when it does come out eventually, I have very high hopes. Like, I don't see I don't know. I trust them after Spider-Man. After doing so well with Spider-Man, I trust them. And I trust them with my favorite character, and I hope they do so very well with it. So that's his history. That's it. Overall thoughts about Wolvie's adaptation. So favorite overall, again, has to be X-Men the Animated Series. Hugh Jackman's portrayal is great. The Fox movies themselves are not too great in my opinion. Video game, again, nothing particularly stand out about how they adapted him. I bet Marvel's Wolverine is going to be pretty awesome, and if it had already come out, it probably would be the favorite here, honestly. But with the way that things are right now, favorite overall has to be X-Men the Animated Series. Nobody else did as good a job of understanding his story, his origin, his role in the X-Men, and his relationships with his fellow X-Men. Just nobody else. Nobody else did it like they did it. Not even 97, not even the continuation of the series, did it like the series. So, it's just iconic, and it can't really be beat. But really, none of the adaptations I've listed throughout this entire video could possibly live up to his endless stories and arcs in the comics. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. Because it's just really hard. Like, I feel I don't know how to put it into words yet. Why I feel that it's kind of a little bit easier with Spider Man than it is with Logan to adapt him. Um, Maybe it is Wolverine's like being tied to a group, being tied to the X-Men. I think that's probably a big part of it because Spider-Man's just Spider-Man. He's been part of the Avengers, he's been part of teams, but he was Spider-Man, from the start, and he'll always be Spider-Man. But Wolverine is constantly tied to the X-Men, as he should, it's very important to him. It's just harder to, I guess, adapt his story specifically, but he's awesome in the comics, and he has a lot of good material, and they've used a lot of it. So really, I can't complain. Obviously they could do better, but I think they've done pretty well with, their tries so far. Again, really hopeful for Marvel's Wolverine since it'll be all about him. And really, hopefully in Marvel's Wolverine, you'll get to see Wolverine really take the spotlight. So I just am very hopeful. So hopeful for that. I want it to be so good. I want it to be out now so I can just see. But I can't. I have to wait. So hopeful for that, but the animated series has to win this one, I guess, if you're crowning winners. So, that's it, you guys. That is the end of a non-comics history of. Thank you guys for sticking with me on these. They were very fun to make. A lot of research, but I like this kind of research. Silly research. Not useful research. That's boring. I like this research. And I really enjoyed making these. I guess it would make sense for me to do this with DC characters, but I need a break. Because it is a lot of research, even though it's fun. It's a lot. And I'm gonna take a break. Like it's a good thing Batman isn't one of my favorite DC characters, because that would just be a nightmare to research his adaptations. But yeah, it was fun, and now it's over. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for watching the series. Thank you for watching this episode. Whatever you watched, thank you. And make sure to comment about your favorite version of Wolverine. And make sure to subscribe, like, follow, share. Share with people. That's important. That's a big one. You should do that one. And I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Soundstripe.